See, one of the greatest secrets around is that if you can find a source of talent that nobody else is looking for, it's real easy to recruit talented people. And in this room, there's a whole lot of talented people who represent a level of human empowerment which is awesome. And those of you who know me well know that basically I'm very lazy. And I try to get other people to do my work for me. And I've been very successful at that. And I did that in this conference as well. So since I couldn't attend all the sessions, obviously, I tried to talk to as many people as I could and ask them the question, what was this conference about for you? And that's really what I want to share with you, to kind of give you a lens. One of the people I was talking to said, one of the things this conference does is give us a new prism through which to look. Isn't that a kind of a nice way of thinking about it? And someone else that I talked to said it a little different way. She said, I've been working in this field for 15 years. And I kind of thought I knew the field. She says, then I come here and I learn about things in my field that I never knew existed. Now, part of that is because none of us could know everything. And part of it is that things are moving very quickly. The good news is that Race Amity is alive and well. The better news is we still have a lot to do. That's the better news. Why is that the better news? Because of the miracle of perfection in imperfection. Now think about it. Some of you have thought about that before, but think about the miracle of perfection in imperfection. The only reason that any of us can be noble is because we have the divine right to mess up. Because if we couldn't mess up, we couldn't be noble. We'd just be little robots going around doing everything perfectly, but it would have no meaning. Our life has meaning because of perfection in imperfection. So as impatient as we get with imperfection, we have to realize that that is the only thing that makes our perfection possible. So the good news is that we haven't run out of stuff to do with Race Amity yet, have we? There's still some perfection around the corner that we can shoot for, right? There's some higher things we can aspire to. There are new things we can learn, new ways to learn. Now, I want to bring a little different dimension to this conference. I want to recommend 2 books to you that might not be on any one of your reading lists. Why? Because they're not about diversity, and they're not about amity. They're just about good stuff that can give you and help give you that different prism with which to look. You see, because anytime we can add to the dimensions of the way we can look at something, we get one of those most valuable words of all. It's called perspective. The only reason that people are racist is because they don't have perspective. If they had perspective on what it means to be human, they couldn't possibly be racist. But because they lack that perspective, because they're down their own little rat hole, and they've defined themselves really in ways that are much less than human, they default to a racist position. Most of the racists I know, now I'm using this in the hardcore sense. We're all racist, as we've all been talking about, that there's no one that can possibly claim to be free from any hint of racism. We all got it, because none of us have achieved that ultimate level of the oneness of humanity where we have not a hint of estrangement between us. We're not there yet. None of us are there yet. We'd like to be there. Show me a prejudice and it's unacceptable to me. But I'm telling you, I got a lot of them. I have to keep fighting that. And that fight will never be over. But as we gain new perspectives, why our ability to raise ourselves up becomes greater, and our ability to raise each other up becomes greater. Anytime we raise ourselves up, we create new potential to raise each other up. Now, one of the books I want to recommend to you is a book called Abundance. Abundance. You can look it up on Amazon. It's my wife tells me that I haven't read it, but that's because I get it on audible.com and I listen to it. And we have philosophical discussions in our family. What constitutes reading? I see Smitty over there laughing, and Wilma can join in because they know all about those kinds of arguments that Carol and I have had. We've only been married 59 years, but we're not sure whether it's going to last, but it has some potential. But whether you want to give me credit for reading the book or not, and you can read it however you want on Kindle or hard copy or cheat like I do and just listen to it while you're on the road a lot. The book is called Abundance. And what it suggests is that we haven't really looked at the world with very good eyes. That we keep thinking that there is a pie out there to divide up. You hear a lot of people talking about, the United States has 5% of the population and uses 25% of the resources. And that's unfair, and we got to change it. We got to give ourselves, as Americans, a smaller slice of the pie. And the book Abundance says, no, let's not look at it that way. Let's make the pie bigger. And they talk about all the ways that the pie is getting bigger. And the cover of the book is a piece of aluminum foil. And they're talking about how in ancient times aluminum was scarcer than platinum, and how the Emperor Titus beheaded the guy that probably discovered how to extract aluminum from bauxite. That's another story. And Napoleon served his really high-ranking guests on aluminum silverware rather than silver or gold silverware because aluminum was more precious. And now we have been able to tap into its abundance, which was always there, but we couldn't access it. Now, the oneness of humanity has always been there, but we haven't been able to access it. It's a scarce resource because we just don't know how to tap into it. Now, this book on abundance talks about a whole lot of things that once upon a time were scarce and now aren't, like aluminum, or a whole lot of other things which are now scarce but don't need to be, like energy, or like water. Those are things that people have been fussing about. There have been more wars fought over water than anything else. And this crazy man that invented the Segway, that little thing that runs around shopping malls, Dean Kamen, yeah, he's now invented something called the slingshot. And the slingshot is a little refrigerator-sized box, and you stick the pipe into anything wet, and out the other end comes pharmaceutical-grade water, pure water, at a cost of 0.2 cents per liter. And he's an entrepreneur, and he's partnered up with this obscure little African company called Coca-Cola, and they are doing pilot tests on the slingshot as we speak. I think you'll enjoy the book, but he says the only way we add value is by specialization, because specialization adds value. If I have a pound of this, you have a pound of that, and we exchange, we barter it, we now have things we need, but nothing's been added. But through specialization, I can leave probably before Richard is finished at 4:30, and go catch a plane that I didn't have to build or fly or maintain. You get the picture. We're living in a world of increasing abundance if we can figure out how to make that abundance work for us. That book is worth reading. Another book from a completely different perspective is called Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. Now, the reason that book is fun, it's one of those heavy academic type books, so it may not be your cup of tea, but Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow, it says, it has lots and lots of interesting notions about the fact that a lot of what we do, we don't really understand, that our brain is on autopilot. Talks about two parts of our brain, the part that's on autopilot and the part that's intuitive that we can control. And the part of that book I want to specifically recommend to you is called priming. They did a bunch of experiments on priming that shows that you can pretty much control the way people behave by the way they're primed. And they did this experiment putting headphones on some college kids, telling them these are new headphones and we want you to help us test to see whether they will survive a lot of vigorous movement. And half the kids they told to move this way and try and shake the headphones off while they're listening to them. And half of them are told to move their head this way and shake their headphones off while they're listening. And the kids that were primed negatively were more negative afterwards than the kids that were primed positively. When we listen to the news and we are primed with violence and all that kind of garbage, that primes us to imitate and incorporate that kind of action. So I invite you, as you work in Race Amity, to think of new ways to prime people to work towards Race Amity. Now, Smitty said that one of the things he hoped we'd be able to do would be that Richard and I would help you go out and think of some new things to do. And so I was looking hard and fast and long to think of new ways. And I think, this is a really bright group of people, and you've already been sharing all your new ways with each other. And a lot of you told me that you had new stuff to try as a result of what you'd heard here. I would only urge you, this is my note that I have 3 minutes left. I would only urge you to try and think while the experience is still new and on your mind of some one thing that you will commit yourself to do that you learned here and as a result of this experience can take away with you. Now, I personally, even in the few sessions I attended, I can think of about 10 things that I'd like to do, because this has been a very, very rich experience. And I found lots of old things that I knew, but I found new ways to think about them. You see, one of the things that we need to realize in this wonderfully rich world of ours is that we're all teachers and we're all learners. That the average teenager in the United States with access to the internet has more information than the President of the United States had 25 years ago. Okay? Oh, another one of those things in abundance that blows your mind away. He was talking about how in the 1970s, the do-it-yourself computer geeks got a hold of the computer, and in Palo Alto, they established a club called the Homebrew Computing Company. Out of the Homebrew Computing Company, these geeky kids sitting around figuring out how to build their own computers, came 23 major American corporations, including Apple. Okay? And they said that now fast forward to the fact that the teenagers today can go on eBay and buy a do-it-yourself kit for DNA sequencing. Costs $1,000. Still a bit pricey, but for geeks, $1,000 is, you know, if they want it, they'll find it, right? Okay? For $1,000, you can get a DIY kit to manufacture new life on your kitchen table. Now, you give teenagers that kind of empowerment, and we absolutely can't think of what the possibilities might be, right? You see? So, the abundance is there. The abundance of ideas, the abundance of goodwill, the abundance of people who want to make a difference, who are struggling to find purpose, and we're there to nudge them along. And the conference here has given us a lot of new tools to help us do it. Thank you.